It's one thing for you and me to say, yeah, I got saved when I was 9 years old and I got baptized and my parents were all excited about it. For Simon Peter, he had a wife. He may have had children, we don't know. He had connections, he had partners, he had a business. If you owned a business in the ancient world, you were a step ahead of almost everybody. He's giving all of that up, and he doesn't know where it's going to lead. And Jesus' response is, hey, don't be afraid. I made you a long, long time ago in your mother's womb. I made you, and I knew this day would come where you'd have the opportunity to follow me. And because you've said yes, that destiny that I had for you is going to be fulfilled. That means the brash, impulsive, speak first, think later kind of guy you are now, always putting your foot in your mouth, always getting ahead of yourself, you're going to become something completely different. You're going to become a rock. Jesus wanted to change Peter from an impulsive, unreliable man to a rock. Here's the question. What does he want to do with you? What does Jesus want to change in you? And you might say, well, I thought he loved me just the way I am. Absolutely. He also loves you too much to leave you that way. Well, I don't know. He's never told me what he wants to change in me. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is just sit back and say, what lingering sins are there in my life? What areas of character in me exist that I know shouldn't exist? Because if you're aware of them, believe me, he's aware of them. Are you someone who has a quick temper? Do you tend to say things you shouldn't say? Maybe you're a person who's a worrier and you're constantly anxious. You just don't have peace in your life. Maybe you love to gossip about others, or maybe you're kind to your coworkers, but you're mean to your family, or maybe you struggle with a particular addiction or a bad habit. There's all kinds of sins and struggles we have. Maybe you just don't have spiritual hunger. You come to church and your mind wanders and you leave and you haven't learned anything, and you try to open the Bible and it doesn't make sense. There's all kinds of flaws in this room. Believe me, I know, because I've got a list of my own flaws. My point is that you need to have your own list. None of that person's flaws, your flaws. You need to bring them before the Lord on a regular basis. And if you say, well, I don't know what my flaws are, well, that's why God gave you a spouse or a roommate or parents, good friends. Most of all, that's why God gave you a Holy Spirit. So if you don't want to start a fight with your spouse or your roommate or your best friend, talk to the Holy Spirit and just say, please show me the areas where I need to change. What should I be working on, Lord? What should I be praying about right now? And believe me, he'll answer that prayer. How does Jesus want to change you? Second question. When Peter realized who Jesus was, he was willing to leave everything behind. So here's the question. Has that happened to you yet? This is the most important of the three questions. Have you come to that point in life where you left it all behind to follow Christ? Maybe you didn't have to quit your job. Maybe you didn't have to leave your home. Probably not, but you had to leave behind your old self. See, this is what a lot of people miss about Christianity. They think of it as a religion. In religion, all that matters is that you believe this set of doctrines and you follow this set of rules and you perform this set of rituals and you're in. And so when I ask people, well, what does it mean that you're a Christian? They might say, well, when I was 9, I got baptized, or when I was 12, I went through confirmation, or whatever the case may be. There's all kinds of ways that we as a religion have set up for us to mark time and these little roadway markers that say I'm on the path. But the question is, has there ever come a time where you left everything behind to follow him? Where your life changed, where the trajectory of your life changed? Because that's salvation. You heard Christian talk about it in his video. So when did that happen for you? Maybe you don't know the precise day, but I bet if it's happened to you, I bet you know who your Andrew was, the person who most influenced you toward Jesus. And I bet you can name a period of life. It was when I was a teenager. It was when I was a young adult, when my kids were just born. It was when I was a little kid. When was it? And if you can name that time, ask yourself the question, how have I been doing since then? What's changed in my life since then? Has there come a time where I lost my zeal and my passion, and now I'm just sort of going through the motions? Because you can come home. You can get back on track with him. There's no probationary period. You just come back. You just get back on the road, and that can happen today. And for many of you, for some of you at least, I hope there's some here who would say, I haven't made that decision yet, but yeah, that sounds like something that I need to do. And maybe right now you're like Peter and you're like, I think there's something to this, but I'm not yet ready. Then come ask me any question you might want that might be in your mind. Or maybe today you're thinking, I didn't intend to do this when I came here today. I thought this was just going to be a normal Sunday, but now I know I need to take that step. I need to give it all. And today can be the beginning of a new life for you. Has that happened for you yet? Third question. Jesus told Peter that he was destined to change many lives. Now here's the question. What are you destined to do? What's your destiny? What's your purpose? I'll admit to you, I don't know my full destiny, my full purpose. I've made it to this point, and I don't know how many more years I have left, but by God's grace, one thing I can tell you is I know I'm on the right track. I know I'm headed in the right direction. How do I know I'm headed in the right direction? I'm not perfect. I'm still messing up on a regular basis, but how do I know that I'm still headed in the right direction? So when I was a little boy, I grew up in the country. Not in town, country. There were no neighbors. So it got pretty boring on weekends and summertime. And so if my mom was going into town for any reason, I wanted to go too, because there was a chance I might bump into one of my friends. So for me, in the summertime, HEB was like the place to be. You might run into somebody you know. And I can remember being 8, 9, 10, 11, following my mom through the cereal aisle, and I'm just sort of daydreaming, and I look up, and to my horror, I discover that the woman I'm following is not my mom. Did that ever happen to you? See, here's the scary thing. That happened to me probably a half dozen times when I was a kid. Never once did my mom come back and say, hey, come on. What does that mean? I don't know. But anyway, regardless, my point is, you're headed in the right direction if you're following the right person. Who are you following today? Oh, I'm following Jesus. I'm here in church, aren't I? Yeah. But a lot of people who sit in church pews are actually following somebody else. I don't mean they're practicing a different religion. I mean, the person they're modeling themselves after is some celebrity or some politician or some successful person, or maybe it's not a person at all. Maybe it's an ideal, the ideals of this world. This is what it means to be successful. This is what it means to be beautiful. This is what it means to be significant. Maybe I'm just following my own dictates and doing what seems right to me. But there are some of you, I hope most of you, who would say, however imperfectly, my life is bound up in following Jesus, the one who died for my sins, the one who rose the third day, the one who will judge me someday, the one who loves me more than I love myself. That's who I want to please. That's who I want to become like. That's who I want to pattern my life after. And if that's the case, I've got great news for you. If your life, however imperfectly, is bound up in following Jesus, you will become the person you were created to be. Nothing will stop you. You will make an eternal difference in this world. You will celebrate for all eternity the multifaceted ways that God changed the world through your life.